Are you deficient? What? Can you believe that by the time we reach 65, nearly half of us are deficient in at least one essential nutrient? And many of us don't even know it. Those missing nutrients can quietly affect everything from our memory, our energy, to our balance and independence. Even more, you might think you're eating healthy, low fat, low carbs, gluten free, all of those, and even on more food regimens. That's why today's conversation really matters. Welcome to Always Ageless. I'm Valerie Van De Zilver, and joining me today is Dr. Sharon Knapp, a nutrition expert who specializes in helping older adults make wise, practical choices that add life to their years. Dr. Knapp holds a PhD in nutrition and health sciences, and she's the founder of Sage Senior Advisors, where she helps older adults and their families with solutions for longevity and healthy living. And wouldn't we all love that to happen? She's passionate about making nutrition practical, not complicated, so that we can all add life to our years, not just years to our life. Today's conversation, I want it to be simple, basic, no fancy, hard to understand terms. After all, wouldn't we all love to be healthy, still enjoy our lives and our favorite foods, and not have to starve ourselves just to have a healthy weight? Well, together we're going to unpack all the secrets of the everyday foods, habits, and simple strategies that can keep you stronger, sharper, and healthier, and no complicated diets required. Good, huh? Today, Dr. Knapp is going to share the simple, everyday food and lifestyle choices that make the biggest and longest difference for seniors and their families. Welcome, Dr. Sharon Knapp, to Always Ageless. No doubt our audience is going to be very interested in what you have to say. And one step further, though, is that you tell us why these things you talk about are important and how it can really make a difference in our everyday lives. And I'm confident that is what we all want to know. Welcome to Always Ageless.
Well, thank you so much. I am thrilled to be here with you, Valerie, to talk about nutrition, which is a topic that's near and dear to my heart. Um, I taught nutrition in colleges and universities, and I have now been able to incorporate that into what I do now. I primarily do seniors real estate, but I also am a certified senior advisor, a senior home coach, a certified aging in place specialist. So my specialty is advising seniors and their families and their caregivers with solutions for aging in place, decluttering, downsizing, right sizing, and senior living options. And nutrition is a big factor in increasing the health and longevity of a senior.
And I think that that's very true, which is why I wanted you to be on our show. When I heard you recently at a conference, I was impressed with the details, but yet the simplicity of it, because I think so many of us think when we think nutrition, we think diet, right? Or a food eating regimen. And when I listened to you, I thought, yeah, this makes perfect sense. We need to introduce her to our audience. And so that's why you're here. But tell us, Sharon, and I know this goes way back probably into your teenage years. We all have a little bit of a story. So, what first sparked your passion for helping older adults with nutrition and healthy aging?
I think it was just the fact that I had been dealing with quite a few seniors in real estate selling their houses, some of who had fallen and they now had to move out, um,
Oh,
some of which who had very cluttered homes and had to move out. Most of them did not eat right, and I didn't really get involved with sort of giving advice on nutrition to seniors in the real estate business until I got involved with the senior home coach industry, which Catherine Ambrose runs. Um, that actually makes it a holistic approach to dealing with seniors. So that's how I got involved with incorporating what I knew about nutrition with the whole idea of aging in place.
well, tell us though, go back to your college years. Didn't you
Okay.
incorporate nutrition and you taught nutrition at one point? Is that true?
Right. So my bachelor's degree was in chemistry, foods, and nutrition. I thought I was going to be a food scientist, and I didn't do that. And then I got a master's degree in nutrition at Penn State. And then I worked as a dietitian for a while. I taught nutrition for both Penn State and University of Pittsburgh. And then I decided to get a PhD in epidemiology. But I still had nutrition as my interest and still taught. So that's where that comes from.
And just for those who are listening, epidemiology is
The study of diseases. So it's the um, we talk a lot about the distribution of disease among populations. So it's not like a one-on-one interaction with a clinician. It's more about like how do people in Mediterranean people eat and how is their health? How about people in Japan who live a lot longer than us? I mean, we spend the most on medical care of any nation, and we have the worst outcomes.
yeah.
It's kind
And
of
the
bad,
people
isn't it?
here, yeah, and people like those in Japan, they live forever. They're in what I think we call a blue zone. Is that true? They're
Yes,
a
they
blue
live
zone.
forever. They follow this practice that was called ikigai, where they don't use the word retirement. Retirement is not in their vocabulary. So they just keep on finding a purpose in their life. It may not be their employment, but they keep on finding a purpose in their life. And I think that's what contributes to them living longer.
Well, that sounds pretty good, and certainly you and I are evidence of people who are have found a purpose in our what some would call our older years. We don't think that's the case, but some people would say we are. So that's interesting. And then after college, though, you taught nutrition.
Right. I taught at both Penn State and the University of Pittsburgh. I taught nutrition. Um, and I also, when I got my PhD, I taught at the University of Pittsburgh Graduate School of Public Health epidemiology classes. So I also worked with medical students who don't have training in nutrition, nor do they have training in epidemiology, which is kind of odd because it's the science of medicine.
Sure.
And I would help them with health policy, how to influence other people about their health, and what data they needed to use for that.
Now, you often say that healthy aging, and by the way, this is Healthy Aging Month that we're recording this is in September. So it's timely that we have you here, which was
Uh,
purposeful. But it's good any time of the year. So you often say that healthy aging is adding life to your years, not just years to your life. So what do you explain what that means to our listeners?
So, aging is not just the absence of disease, which a lot of people think like if I don't have a disease or I don't have symptoms of disease, then I am healthy. Well, that's
Right?
not really true. So, in order to have healthy aging, it's the process of developing, improving, and maintaining your functional abilities. Your ability to do whatever you want to do. You know, the lack of independence, I think, causes a lot of issues with aging. It also causes a lot of issues with getting your right foods because if you can't chew or swallow or you have difficulty cooking for yourself, then that's a problem. So the whole idea for healthy aging is nutrition isn't the only thing that affects healthy aging, obviously, right? Medical care, environmental issues, your genetics, like who your parents are, biology. There's a whole bunch of factors. But nutrition can be a major part of your healthy aging process.
Yes, obviously it is. It is. So why does nutrition become more important as we get older? And does it?
Well, nutrition becomes important as you get older for two reasons. One is that as we age, unfortunately, our energy needs go down. So there's three factors that produce energy in your body. One is what's called basal metabolism. Not to be scientific here, but that's just the energy of being. It's your heart to function, your things to be transported in your blood, your lungs to work, your kidneys to work. All that requires energy. So unfortunately, as we age, starting at about the age 60, our basal metabolism decreases every year, decreases about 1 to 5%. So by the time you get really old, your basal metabolism is really low. The other two parts of your energy expenditure are the energy expenditure for eating and digesting food, which isn't that much, it's only about 10% of your energy needs. And then the third factor, depending on how sedentary you are, you may have no energy expenditure. So you will have just all your energies from your basal metabolism. So the problem is that you need a lot less energy as you age or calories from food. So your choices for food have to be better and better as your caloric intake decreases. That's the issue, which is difficult, okay? Especially how most people eat nowadays. We eat a lot of processed foods. We
Yeah.
don't cook using the right utensils. We go out to eat, which has lots of stuff in it and lots of big portions. So that's the whole issue, is be able to have what I call and other people call nutrient dense foods, so that the calories that you eat in a food aren't empty, like soda, potato chips, and all this other kind of stuff that we all love so much, and sweets, but that it actually is high in protein and high in nutrients.
So, what are some of the most common nutrient deficiency food or that you see in seniors today? The nutrient deficiencies that you see in seniors.
Nutrient deficiencies. Well, I think most of them are like the B vitamins, like the vitamin B12, vitamin B6, folate, are the three ones. People are usually deficient in protein and some of the water soluble vitamins, like vitamin C. Those are the main ones. And maybe calcium, depending on their diet, depending on what they do, like calcium and vitamin D, because most older people don't go outside, and so they don't synthesize vitamin D. So that all it takes is going outside and working on that. You want to know what kind of foods they're eating too that are wrong, or just the
Yeah,
nutrient?
sure. Yeah.
Okay, so the foods that they're eating wrong, again, I think they're depending on their income level. So it's, a lot of seniors have problems with fixed incomes, and so they don't have a whole lot of money to spend on food, and they
Right.
tend to eat food, what I call convenience foods, that are not good for you. They're high in calories and salt and bad fats and this kind of stuff. Okay. And so they don't tend to eat either like lean meats. They tend to eat the tastier meats that have either fat around them or marbling inside of them that has all sorts of fats. So that's the issue. Too high in fats, too high in sodium, and not enough lean protein sources, I think, is the major issue for seniors.
And some things I think that we call or we refer to as food barely sets the standard as a food. It's a food because you put it in your mouth, but that doesn't mean it has any value at all, right? We talked about, breakfast cereals and
Right. So there's a
chocolate
lot of
cocoa
reason that
puffs.
people eat, Valerie. I mean, it's not just because of nutrition. I mean, people eat for all sorts of reasons. Their social habits, their cultural background,
That's true.
um, their learned behavior. I mean, I think every mom got together in the world and said, if you don't eat your vegetables, you're not going to get dessert. So we grow up thinking that every celebration we have should be desserts and sweets and all this very tasty, sugary things. So, yes,
Right.
reward
The
ourselves.
problem with that, yeah, the problem with that is when you eat your vegetables, then you think you should have dessert, right?
Right. And my mother also said that if I don't eat our stuff, then the kids in China are going to starve. Now, I never understood how the kids in China would starve, but me not clearing my plate. But anyway, I don't think it had
Absolutely.
anything to do with it. But
I don't think it did either. Well, that's probably what their mothers told them. So it comes from the top down, right? Let's talk about proteins. So I think most people think that proteins are a good thing, right? So
uh,
why do older adults need more of it? And what are some easy protein rich foods that they could add to every meal?
so they need protein because there's a condition in old age or getting older that's called sarcopenia, where your body loses muscle mass. So, in order to replace that muscle mass, you need to condition your body with resistant exercises, and you need to eat lean proteins, which contain the amino acids that build the muscle up. The reason that's important is for two reasons. One, it sort of counteracts this idea of muscle loss, but two, it also increases your metabolism, which is the issue with elderly people. So if you increase your metabolism, then you can eat a little bit more. So,
And of course, I think everyone knows, but what are the proteins that we should be eating that are also easy for seniors to intake and digest?
so there are, I would say poultry is easy for seniors to eat. There's cheeses, depending on their condition, they may or may not allowed to have a lot of salty cheeses, which they're often processed. Um, there are, yogurt is a really good protein source. There's nuts and legumes. um, I think that's about it. Meats, lean meats. Other than that, like lean beef, is good also.
And fish?
Fish, yes, I forgot fish. Fish is really good for you because it has a lot of the good fatty acids, the omega 3 fatty acids, and a lot of the fatty fishes. So not only are you getting the protein, but you're also getting the healthy fat.
What are some of the better fishes or the fish that you should be avoiding?
So I eat a lot of fish because I don't eat meat personally, and so I use like flounder. I'm just trying to think of what the fishes I eat. I eat flounder, salmon, cod, um, Chilean sea bass. They're all good for you.
Shrimp,
Shrimp is
shellfish?
okay. It has a little bit of cholesterol in it that may or not be healthy, um, and doesn't have as much protein as these other lean fishes have. So.
We also hear that fiber seems to be a game changer for seniors. So, what does it do, and how can our listeners and our viewers add more of it to their diet?
So, fiber is essential. Okay. Most people don't get enough fiber, and most seniors don't get enough fiber. So that's a problem. But there's two kinds of fiber, the soluble fiber and the insoluble fiber. We all know about the insoluble fiber. That's the one that produces bulk and keeps your intestines moving and prevents constipation. The soluble fibers are the ones that are in other kinds of foods that have pretty much the same kind but different aspects of the food. They're the ones that help lower your cholesterol, your bad cholesterol levels, increase your good cholesterol levels. So the good one is HDL cholesterol, the high density. The bad ones are the low density lipoproteins. So it all helps with that.
And are there some that you recommend, like lettuce and those kind of things? What other kind of fiber can people get in their diet?
Well, I think the best fiber sources are the nuts and the legumes. Um, the the vegetables and fruits. I call them the colorful ones. That not only do they provide fiber, but they also provide a lot of nutrients. So they're always grouped into like 4 or 5 groups, like red, purple, green, yellow, red, purple, green, orange, and even white, like cauliflower and things like that. All have fiber.
And it's okay to eat those because
Yeah.
sometimes don't we hear like you're not supposed to eat beans or you're not supposed to eat some of the grains? Is that true? Like, is that the same as legumes? What is it? Help define
So
those for us.
legumes are actually like the beans, so like the chickpeas and soybeans and I'm just trying to think, navy beans and kidney beans. Those are all the legumes. Okay, the grains are fine. The problem with grains is often people don't eat the whole grains, which has a lot of the nutrients in it in the outer layer of the husk. They tend to eat processed grains, like we talked about before, like chocolate cocoa puffs don't have, they're a grain but they're not really good, or like white bread is not good for you. So you should really try to eat whole grains that are minimally processed.
Now, I've heard a well-respected doctor from here in Southern California who talks about weight loss and nutrition, and he says you shouldn't eat wheat. Talk about that.
That you shouldn't eat wheat.
That's right.
Well, I think the situation with wheat is it has that protein, that gluten in it, and a lot of people are gluten sensitive, so they shouldn't eat it. But I don't think there's any problem with wheat in non-gluten sensitive individuals. There's no problem with eating whole grains, and wheat is one of them.
Well, that's good to hear. Fats, we know, are not all bad. So, how can seniors, older adults, and even their families tell the difference between healthy fats and harmful ones? And this is something I want to hear about.
So, we've been taught for years that, fats are bad for you. You shouldn't have butter. You shouldn't have whole milk. Well, we're actually finding out that those things are not so bad for you. So there are healthy fats and unhealthy fats, and then there's not so healthy fats, and then there's fats to avoid completely. So the
Okay.
best fats to eat are the monounsaturated fats. And they are in things like olive oil and avocado oil and some nuts and seeds. Um, so they're the best ones. The next ones are the polyunsaturated fats, but only if they contain like the omega-3 fatty acids, the better fats. And then there are the fats that are not so good for you, which are the seed oils, because they're mostly polyunsaturated but contain the not so good fatty acid, which is the omega 6 fatty acids. And they are everything that you think that you should eat, that you can't eat. They're the corn, cottonseed, soybean, canola, a whole list of them. And then there's the saturated fatty, the oils. So the saturated fats are the palm oil and the coconut oil. And you may say, well, I don't ever put coconut oil or palm oil in my food, but the manufacturers do. Almost
Um,
every processed food has either palm oil and or coconut oil in it, and it's completely saturated. And then the really avoid at all risk oil and fats are the trans fats, and they are synthetically made from what's called adding hydrogen to oil, and you know them as partially hydrogenated oils or fats. They're bad for you. They lower your good cholesterol and they raise your bad cholesterol and they cause inflammation.
so
So
give us an example of one of those.
Crisco.
Yeah, I know. We were all raised on Crisco. Our moms would take it out of the jar or out of
Oh my God.
remember we cranked it open with a can opener
Yes.
and the Crisco was inside. We'd scoop it up and
Yes.
we'd put it in the pan and fry everything. And
So
yeah.
it's amazing how we're alive. I say, I mean, my mother used to make liver,
Oh,
beef
yeah,
liver,
sure. Of course,
fry it
yeah.
in Crisco,
Yeah.
and serve it to us on melamine plates.
Yeah,
Which,
sure, of course. And look at
so
how thin you are. You're so skinny. You
it's
survived.
amazing how I made it this far. So now Crisco has a very interesting little story if you want to hear about it. So Crisco was developed by Procter and Gamble, which used to make soaps and all sorts of beauty products.
Right.
And by accident, they came across this process of hydrogenating oil to this nice fat that they thought resembled lard or butter. Procter and Gamble became a major sponsor of a PBS radio station. And the PBS radio station, back in I think the 40s it was, maybe early 50s, had a contest. And the contest was the original Truth or Consequences. It was a TV show, but it was originally a radio show. And they had this was called this walking man. You had to guess who was walking by the sounds that were on the radio.
Of
And
course.
people guessed, and they contributed money, and they actually raised $1.44 million from contestants. Only one won. That's about equivalent to $34 million today. And all of the money was donated to the American Heart Association. And guess what happened after? American Heart Association promoted Crisco as a substitute. Crisco for a substitute for butter and lard and beef tallow. Now you'll see that the recommendation are the opposite now. Butter is not that bad for you. Better than probably margarine, which is all processed. Beef tallow is fine now, and lard, again, in smaller quantities, are fine to use. Now there's this new and improved Crisco. Procter & Gamble sold out to some big conglomerate, and the Crisco is now fully hydrogenated. Listen to this, fully hydrogenated, which doesn't form these trans fats, but they add palm oil and coconut oil to it. And now I hear people say it's better to eat Crisco, the new Crisco, than it is to eat butter and beef tallow and lard. And I totally disagree with that. So
I can't imagine now at this point in my life eating Crisco. Just the thought of it is just, I don't know. And I'm sure a lot of people do. But let's go back. So, and you talked about this just a few minutes ago. So many people still like to use canola or coconut oil. So what should they know about choosing their oils widely? Like what oil should they be using? Should everybody use olive oil? Should they use virgin olive oil? I mean, what should people be using when they want to cook?
well, I cleared my whole house out. So I used to have grapeseed oil and soybean oil and canola oil and peanut oil, everything imaginable. But now I only have olive oil, which we use most of the time, and avocado oil. Avocado oil doesn't have as high of a smoke point, which means that the higher the smoke point, the less it's going to smoke when you cook at high temperatures. So olive oil is the best. But it should be virgin olive oil that's cold pressed and stored in a glass bottle, a dark glass bottle in a dark, cool place. Because it can get rancid. All oils can get rancid, which means it smells funny. It's not really good for you. So as long as you keep it in a dark, cool place and you buy it in glass bottles, olive oil. The other one is avocado oil. isn't quite as good as olive oil, but it doesn't leave that distinctive flavor. So if you don't like the flavor of olive oil in a certain number of your foods, then you can use avocado oil. I actually use a whole range of products called, I'll promote them, Chosen Foods, and they are avocado oil based, and they make mayonnaise and salad dressing and a whole bunch of different things.
And how do they
Marinade.
taste? How do they taste?
I think they're great. They're very expensive. You get a little bottle of mayonnaise for $8 compared to a big one for like $4.
Yeah,
But it's so much healthier. It has a distinctive flavor, but I've gotten used to it, and I think it tastes much better personally.
well, probably some of it is what you get used to also after you
Yeah,
eat it for a while. So,
yeah. And I do want to mention the cooking utensils that people use, if you don't
yes,
mind.
let's talk about that. No, let's talk about it.
Okay, so plastic utensils are not good to cook with, especially at high heat. So me, who have had all these black utensils, I got rid of them. I actually had like a shower for myself. I went on Amazon. I just bought things. I made it a positive experience. So it's not just black plastic; it's any kind of colored plastic. The dye leaches into your food. Not good. So
And
should
isn't
you
there
use? So that leaves you only pretty much glass, ceramic, wood, but it has to be a hard wood like maple or walnut. They make them. They're not that expensive. And then stainless steel.
and you and I have been in classes, I think, together, and I have a doctor here in Southern California who taught and just published 11 things you should not have in your house, and one of them is plastic storage containers. But the point is that we're hearing, aren't we, Sharon, that also it has some effect on maybe dementia, right?
Right. Right. Okay. There's a
And
lot of things that you can use to probably prevent dementia. Um, so there's vitamin B1 has been shown to help it. That's like in a lot of your well, B1's easy to get. It's in a lot of vegetables and grains that are whole. B12 is a little more difficult if you don't eat meat, but you could take a supplement of B12 if you wanted to. And B6, which is it's also called pyridoxine, that's important for blood manufacture. And so anything that's involved with blood manufacture or distributing oxygen to the brain will help you.
let's talk about vitamins and minerals. I heard you talk about this a lot, and you and I have had some discussions. What vitamins and minerals are especially critical for seniors and why?
So I'll talk about this in relation to like function, okay? Because there's like, I don't know, 45 vitamins and minerals. So we would be bore the whole audience with each one. So let's just do that. So what
Yes.
are the vitamins and minerals that are important for like maintaining muscle and bone health, which are extremely important for the seniors? So there's a theory that people don't fall and break their hip. They have weak hips, which causes them to lose their balance and fall.
Oh,
And that may or may not be true, but why not believe it? I mean, it's just like one of
sure.
these things. Why don't you just strengthen your muscles and the bones? So what's involved is protein, calcium, vitamin D, which should be consumed together, like vitamin D and calcium. So like a milk has both nutrients in it, or a supplement. Take the two supplements together because they enhance each other. And magnesium. Magnesium has become pretty important lately in muscle and bone health. So
Let's talk about magnesium. My mom, who's going to be 106 in October of this year, will takes magnesium all the time. So why would her doctor have prescribed that? What does magnesium actually do for your body?
well, it helps with muscle health, which is like really important. So me personally, I used to get these awful leg cramps. Don't ask
Really?
me why, but at night I'd wake up like almost screaming in pain from leg cramps. And my daughter in law, who's into nutrition, she said, "Have you tried magnesium?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. Maybe I should try magnesium." But I tried magnesium. I would, at any point, I was on heating pads and muscle stimulants and all this kind of stuff. Okay. And I just went and got the cheapest magnesium supplement I could possibly get, but it didn't work. And it wasn't because it was bad magnesium, it was in the wrong form. So the best way to carry magnesium is magnesium glycinate. And I think the best product is called Pure. That's the name of the vitamin company, called Pure. I have not had a muscle cramp in months by switching to this. I mean, it may be coincidental, but it's working for me. So
Pure magnesium glycinate. So that's spelled
glycinate, yes,
Glycenite.
it's Glycinate,
Glycinate. Great. And you can find that at the grocery store, at
I
CVS,
mean,
at a
I buy
drugstore.
most things on Amazon,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For my mom,
Amazon
we
or
have it.
Walmart, I have these two apps, and when I think of something, I just add them to them, and then
Sure.
they deliver them to
Sure.
the
Sure.
house.
Okay. All right. So we know magnesium is a deal breaker. I mean, it's something, not a
Okay.
deal breaker, but certainly
Now,
something you should have. And what
digestive health.
other
So digestive health. We all know what we need for digestive health, and that is fiber, both the insoluble and the soluble fiber. Water is extremely important for digestive health. So you maintain enough fluids in your body so you don't become constipated. And then there's these foods called probiotics and prebiotics.
let's
Probiotics
talk about
help
that.
the bacterial flora, or they actually contain bacteria that's safe to eat, like yogurt is one of the foods. It'd be good for that. And then there's all these strange foods like kefir, Kefir, and kombucha, and all these other things. But there's a bunch of foods that are pre and probiotics that should be included in the diet. So we talked a little bit about enhancing energy and mood. Those are the B vitamins, especially B12, and also complex carbohydrates. Preventing and maintaining chronic diseases. We all know about fiber and the soluble fiber and helping lower the bad cholesterol and raise the good cholesterol, omega-3 fatty acids, and of course antioxidants, which are really good. Immune function. Well, that's really important to build your immunity, especially as you get older. Vitamin C, zinc, protein, and um, vitamin C, protein, vitamin D. Yeah, that's it. C, zinc, protein, and vitamin D are really good at that. Controlling inflammation, which most disease processes are caused by inflammation. We now know about that. So that's the omega-3 fatty acids that are in all the good oils, and the polyphenols, which are in a compound, which are in olive oil and turmeric, which a lot of people sprinkle on their food.
Turmeric. Now I hear my friends have turmeric and ginger and lemon and tea in the morning. Is that
Yeah, and the really good one to add is pepper, black pepper, because black pepper has an ingredient called pepperine, is the active ingredient in black pepper. That's what gives it its taste. That increases the absorption of the active ingredient in turmeric 2,000%. So if you can tolerate it, just sprinkle a little black pepper on your turmeric.
really?
Yes.
And how do you digest? How do you intake turmeric except in this drink in the mornings?
The way I do it, I just like sprinkle it on my food. I buy like a powder of turmeric, just sprinkle it on my food and put a little bit of black pepper. So,
All right, let's go back to all these vitamins and supplements.
okay.
I go into the store, I go into Mother's Market or into Whole Foods or even into CVS. There's rows of these. How do I know, Sharon, Dr. Knapp, what I should be buying? I'm sure that there must be good brands, but there must be something in those that makes them different, or does it not? Are they all the same? Does it matter what we buy?
Okay, so there is no federal regulation of dietary supplements, just so you know that. So anybody and
Interesting.
their brother can manufacture a dietary supplement, market it, and that's it.
Well, that doesn't help my question.
Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is that it's very complicated to know what particular supplement you need. You can do blood work, have blood work done for you, and you can find out that you need a certain nutrient, based on what your blood values are, but not routinely. Doctors do not test for all nutrients. Okay, they don't test for magnesium. They don't test for, I don't know, a whole bunch of things. You can go by your function, like, are your bones weaker or is your balance off, things like that. So you may want to like supplement with protein and calcium and vitamin D for those things, and magnesium. Um, Eat a very varied diet. Okay, that is like the real thing, the varied diet. So if you eat a diet that's varied in lean proteins and good fats and healthy fruits and vegetables, you'll be getting all the nutrients you need. God didn't make a mistake. I mean, he made all these foods for us to eat, And we are just like totally messing it up with all these supplements. And I'm not saying supplements are bad, but they should be used judiciously, based on what you really think you need.
So when I go in the store and I walk down the market in Mother's Market and say, okay, today I'm going to go get some magnesium, or today I'm going to get vitamin K, right?
Yeah.
How do I know which one to buy? What should I be looking for?
Well, I think I would read some reviews of these things. Like, what is actually the best thing to do? You could either Google it, although that may not be the best the place to do it, but go on some like medical website that may be able to tell you what the best supplement is to use, the best brand. They don't usually push brands though. You know what I'm saying? They don't say get this particular brand. They may tell you the compound to use, like
Sure.
magnesium glucinate, and then you can read some reviews from people who've used these products.
All right. Well, that might help. And we all know that it's about shelf space. These companies all get as much of their products in the store as possible. So I guess what you're saying is you could just go buy, or you could ask somebody at the store for advice, right? Or
Right.
you could read reviews before you go,
So
correct?
you
And
could ask the advice of a registered dietitian or a nutritionist or an integrative medicine doctor. Do you know what they are? They're more holistic and into anti-aging kind of things. Or a functional medicine doctor, which care more about, or a chiropractor and acupuncturist also know a lot about nutrition. So you could refer to those sources.
all right, well, we will take your advice the next time we go to Whole Foods, which I do. Oh, Mother's Market is more where I go. Um,
Right.
let
So they say you should go back to the way your grandmother used to cook, right? Because they use, well, my grandmother never used a measuring spoon. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and made bread and all sorts of other things. So if you go back to sort of like the original, it's like garbage in is garbage out. So if you make foods with mixes, like cake mixes and things like that, you're not going to get a good cake. So if you use wholesome ingredients, don't you think like the best restaurants have the best ingredients? They start with fresh fruits and vegetables and healthy meats and things like that. They have good chefs too, but they start with healthy ingredients. I think that's the whole thing.
I want to ask you about fruits, because a lot of time if we're watching our diet and we're trying to watch our food intake and try to lose some weight, we'll be told, well, watch the fruits that you eat because they're full of sugar. But yet I keep thinking one of my other doctors says, if God made it, you should eat it, right? And that means it's a good thing. So is that true? Should we avoid fruits because they're higher in sugar? Should we eat them? Which ones are the best ones?
Well, I think the thing is moderation. So good fruits have not only sugar, but they also have fiber in them. So you're getting fiber and the sugar. It's better to, if you're going to eat carbohydrates, which you should do, you should go with the more complex carbohydrates because sugar gets quick from fruits, gets quickly released into your bloodstream, causes a spike in your blood sugar level, which causes your body to produce insulin, which lowers your blood sugar levels. So you get these heights and depths of blood sugar. So you're better off eating complex carbohydrates like starches and grains, which are slowly released into your bloodstream and more moderate level of blood glucose levels.
So let's give an example to our listeners. I think everybody knows who's following us, but what are some complex carbohydrates?
They're all things like whole grains. There are complex nuts have complex carbohydrates in them. I'm just trying to think. That's
Well,
pretty
let
much
me
it. It's mostly the grains and the rices and all that kind of stuff. That's whole grain. Yes.
okay. So now I'm going to ask you an off the question here. So when you eat potatoes, which are supposedly high in carb, but we love potatoes, should you eat sweet potatoes or yellow potatoes? And
Well,
should you leave the skins on or take the skins off?
definitely leave the skins on, and if you can eat them, eat the skins because that's where a lot of the vitamins are concentrated. Okay, so don't boil a potato in water; all the vitamins are leached out. So bake the potato in its skin and put like little holes in it with a fork and let it cook. I tend to eat sweet potatoes. I like the taste better. It has more nutrients and more fiber than a white potato.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good to know. And sweet potatoes, they're good. Can you put butter and cinnamon on your sweet potato?
I mean, I put sour cream and chives on it, and everybody says, "What are you doing that for?" And I said, "Because I like it."
Right.
So I don't think it matters. Yes.
But again, it's in moderation, I'm sure.
Everything's moderation. If it gets you to eat just sweet potato instead of a white potato, then put a little bit of sugar and a little bit of butter, right?
We know that portion control, we've talked about that this morning.
Yes.
Portion control and eating in moderation is really tricky. So, what advice do you give to older adults about eating the right amount without feeling deprived?
Okay, so portion control is kind of an interesting concept. So a lot of people don't know what a serving size is. Okay.
Right.
So they get a big plate, they fill it up really high, and they eat it and they said, I ate one portion. Okay.
Well,
So,
that could
so,
be.
so you have to teach people like what a portion is. So initially, it requires probably weighing meats to know what it is, or measuring grains and all this other kind of stuff and fats. So, like a teaspoon of butter only has 45 calories in it, but people don't know what a teaspoon is. So, start with a teaspoon, get to know what it is, and then use that. Same thing with the meats. You can use the palm of your hand, but right below the digits, that's about a 3 ounce portion of meat initially. But just to used to weighing it and knowing what it is, okay, and measuring things, and then you'll pretty much know what you're eating. When you go to a restaurant, assume they're giving you too much. You know, I mean, it's get a big piece of salmon on there that is like probably thousands of calories. We could only eat like 1/4 or 1/6 of it, take the rest home and use it for the other time that you're going to be eating.
I don't know if that was a discussion with you or not, or whether it was somebody else when we were in a group and asked them how they lost weight, and they said they just start eating on smaller plates.
Yeah, you can eat on a smaller plate with a smaller fork. Don't eat standing up. Actually, sit down and eat a meal. Concentrate on sitting and eating. Um, So there's lots of things that you can do with portion control. You can be cognizant of what serving sizes are on the foods that you use or the ingredients that you use. It'll have serving size. I always talk about this case where I counsel someone that said, I eat wheat thins every night. What's the big deal? They only have, I don't know, 140 calories in a serving. I said, well, what's your idea of a serving? He says, the whole box. So the whole box had 16 servings in it. So it was like over 1,200 calories. So sometimes he would eat 2 boxes and could swallow 2 servings. So
Right.
I think you have to get used to what a serving is.
Some, a lot of older people live by themselves
Right.
and they don't want to cook for one person. So, what ideas do you have for them for keeping their meals simple but still nutritious?
So they could use some kind of food service if they wanted to that has healthy ingredients that they could cook all portioned out for them. Or they can learn how to cook for maybe 2 or 3 people, but save the servings for later, like freeze the food and heat it up later to eat. Um, there are congregate eating programs for people so they don't have to eat alone. Um, there are, I mean, lots of things that you could do for one person to cook. You can get recipe books for cooking for one. Um, you can go online and get some ideas on Facebook and things like that for people cooking for one. It's learning how to do it over again. But you can still cook for two, but
Mm.
just don't eat it all.
Right. Yep. So that's a good point. So one of the things we do with our mom when we take her out to eat, then we just have them split it and
Right,
put half of it in a to-go box. Don't
right,
even bring her the second half
right,
because she doesn't need it all. It would just waste on the plate anyway. Right.
right,
So that way we just bring it in a box and she takes it home and she has food for the next day.
right. I do that at most restaurants. I ask for a smaller dish and I ask them to box it up, 3/4 of it before I leave, you know.
I think another myth is that seniors, older adults don't need to worry about weight control. Is that true? And what's the reality here?
Well, the truth is they do need to worry about weight control. We talked about before their energy needs are less. They're usually their activity, energy for activity is less than before. So either you have to start exercising more. I mean, weight loss is just merely, I mean, I've heard people say it isn't this, but it is this. It's the difference between your energy intake and your energy expenditure. You
It
can
is.
stimulate your energy expenditure. You can decrease your appetite with all sorts of drugs and expanding your stomach and things like that. But the simplest way is to learn how to eat wiser and smaller and healthier.
This is true. Now, should we be worried about drug and food interactions?
Yes, yes. There are some things that interact, like grapefruit is one of the bad ones. Grapefruit, fresh or juice, has an enzyme in it that interferes with like most antibiotics and other medicines. Um, there's vitamin K. If you're on a particular blood thinner called warfarin or Coumadin, it actually
Mhm.
works to not use vitamin K. So you either have to go on a different blood thinner or adjust your intake with other nutrients in order to get it.
What are some of the things that you've discovered in your work with your clients, either with individual clients or when you're teaching nutrition? What has surprised you the most?
People don't know what calories are. I mean, that's the big thing. They don't understand what calories are. I used to always have this exercise in teaching students that they would have to monitor their dietary intake for a day and monitor their exercise and give them a chart that would show them. And I would get these papers back that said, I should lose 2,000 pounds in a day because I made a minor error in my calculation. I'm thinking, like, okay, seriously, people. Okay, you don't lose 2,000 pounds because you don't even have 2,000 pounds to use. So, the basic principle is that a pound of body fat has 3,500 calories in it. So, if you want to lose a pound a week, you have to decrease your caloric intake by 500 calories a day. That's it. But if you're only eating 1,000 calories, 500 calories is a lot to decrease. So you either have to increase your expenditure or decrease your intake. That's it.
Yes, and I think a lot of it also comes with people having trouble eating food. So we've talked about this. My mom might call my mom, "What did you have for dinner?" "Oh, I had cheese and crackers." "I'm really losing a lot of weight." I can understand that, mom. So where's the nutrition? "Oh, I took my um my magnesium." Okay, well, that's good. So we had wheat thins and cheese and magnesium for dinner, right? So I think the key again is what do you do when your situation, because as a senior home coach, as a nutritionist, all of these things. So how do you talk to your adult children clients about helping their parents with this issue of nutrition?
Well, I think it's about any issue in educating adult children about their parents. It's now a role reversal. Your parents raised you, and now you're the authority, and you're telling them what they need to do. So it's a very sensitive touch on how you approach people, no matter what it is. And nutrition is just one of them. And they've been eating this way probably for many, many decades. So it's very
Sure.
difficult. So you can show them by example, I think is probably the best thing. Cook for them a meal that is high in nutrients, low in calories, and see if they like it. They probably will. It tastes good.
And one of the suggestions you made, which I've seen people do, is set up for a meal delivery service.
Yes. So, like Hungry Root is a service that has healthy nutrients. It's not inexpensive, but it has the healthy nutrients. But you have to cook the meals, though. They give
Oh,
you the ingredients and then you cook the meals. If you don't want to cook, then you're going to have to get prepared food, and prepared food has lots of issues with it. They usually are processed, highly processed, with lots of salt in it because it acts as a preservative and a flavor enhancer, and usually bad oils and sugar. Other than that, it's fine.
so do you have a favorite or a suggested go-to meal or snack that you personally recommend to your clients and their families?
Well, I think yogurt is a really good snack. It's high in protein, usually low in fat, and has the probiotics in it. Probiotics in it.
So tell me, when you pick out yogurt, though, some of it has it's no fat yogurt or low sugar. Are those really issues that we should look at? And are they important when you're choosing the right kind of yogurt?
I don't think. I mean, the difference between sugar naturally occurring in the yogurt, and which is okay because it's the milk sugar, which is lactose. Um, the Greek yogurt seems to be the best to choose from. It is higher in protein, has more of the pre and probiotics in it, and less sugar.
Okay. All
Mhm.
right. And then can we add fruit to it? Is that better than buying it with the fruit already added?
Yes. Yes, because the fruit that's out, have you ever seen it? It's in like a little compartment usually or in the bottom of the thing and has a lot of sugar and syrups in it.
So if you add your own blueberries, it's a little bit healthier.
Yes, yes, it has
Better
more
idea.
fiber and more nutrients, and you can control, probably can have more because it has less added sugar to it.
Do you have an example of someone who you've helped that you felt like you really made a difference for them that you'd like to share with us? Someone that you were working with, and with your expertise and your knowledge, you're really able to help them with their health.
I think the best one is my husband, who ate terribly, just terribly. Like buys bags of chips and oh my god, he just eats pretzels and potato chips and cookies and wow. So we've gotten him off a lot of that, and he does feel better. He actually does like to eat. He's stronger. He says he's showing me his muscles right now. He's stronger. He's not craving as much of the sugar as he used to. Yeah, he's my best example.
Well, that's good. And if there's one positive change that you would like to make in the eating habits of your clients and your colleagues, and something you'd like to teach to everyone, what would that be?
Well, it's hard to just say one thing. I think nutrient dense foods are probably the most urgent thing to use, lower in calories and higher in nutrients. Portion control is extremely important, because it doesn't matter whether you have, it's like eating a whole apple pie, which my husband used to do, and I've got him down to a slice. He said that was his serving.
Right?
So
Oh, go ahead.
yeah, it's like taking an apple. An apple is fine to eat, and then you can boil it in water and lose all its nutrients. You can put it in a pie and add a lot of sugar to it, and then put ice cream on top of it. It's now one apple that is now apple pie a la mode. Well, that is like not nutritious. You're better off with the original apple. So
And I see that. So looking ahead, what's your vision for how older adults can live healthier lives through food and nutrition?
I think truly that the best thing is that their primary care physician should emphasize good eating rather than forcing supplements on them unless they need them for a particular reason. And I think it's healthier for lots of reasons because it may the big issues with seniors are the protein, the B vitamins, and fiber, and not enough water.
Right.
So
If we
I don't
solve those
I
issues,
don't
we
remember
do
going
good.
to any physician in my entire life that has told me to eat better. They may have told me to lose weight at some point in my life, but have never told me to eat better.
Right.
Never.
I
They
know.
don't
I
care.
know.
They don't even know what I eat.
I know. Well, this has been an empowering discussion, Dr. Sharon Knapp. I hope that our viewers and our listeners will walk away with a few simple steps, whether it's adding protein to every meal, drinking more water, choosing colorful fruits and vegetables, and that these things that they can put into action today. So we want them to remember that small changes really do add up to a healthier, more vibrant life. If you'd like to learn more about Dr. Knapp's work, you can reach us at alwaysageless.com. By the way, we do read all of your emails and respond to them, so be sure to pass that on, and we will share her information with you. And if you don't forget, we don't want you to forget to join us next week. Go on our YouTube channel and you can watch our past episodes. But join us next week on Always Ageless, where we bring you the insights and the inspiration to live young at heart and wise in years. Until then, stay golden, live bold, and be always ageless. Thank you, Dr. Knapp.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.